Okay, great. We are live with Dave and Chris from MX. So thank you, guys. And yeah, if you want to just let us know a little bit more about MX and the jobs that you're hiring for, and what diversity, whichever here matters to you. And just kind of just tell us a little bit about your company overall. And yeah, and if you guys are here watching the event, let us know where you're tuning in from. So I'll kick it off to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Linda. We're really excited to be here. Can you guys see my screen okay? Thumbs up, Chris, if you can see it. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody here to our little info session here about MX. We're excited to talk to you a little bit more about us and what we do and sort of our mission here. But to get started, just want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So I'm Dave. I'm on the talent acquisition team here at MX. I focus on the programs and the branding here. And I've been here with the company just a little over a year. Chris, do you want to tell everybody here about yourself as well?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Leeson. I am the senior talent partner. I have supported every department here at MX for the last a little more than 2.5 years. I'm one of the old guys on the team at MX. If you know anything about our company, we're fast, we're growing. Currently, I support sales, enablement, strategy, and operations here at MX, and it's been a pleasure to see the ride we've been on over the last couple of years.
Awesome. Yeah, Chris is definitely our veteran. He would know anything about MX. So when we have got our Q&A at the end, feel free to ask him all the questions because chances are he knows them. Anyways, so a little bit about us. So our mission, we want to empower the world to be financially strong. We've created a software that allows our customers to do that. And we'll dive in here on that a little bit soon. And our product here reaches over 2,000 financial institutions, as well as fintech clients. We've got about 30 million customers nationwide here. So we are mostly domestic, but that number is growing. Like we're continuing to grow. And then in terms of like our history, we've actually only been around since 2010. We rebranded in 2015. And then as of 2021, we got our Series C funding, which brought our valuation up to $1.9 billion, which is one of the largest valuations in Silicon Slopes. Silicon Slopes, if you're not from the area, is actually the tech area here in Utah. So we are valued at one of the largest. And just in the last 2 years, we've added over 450 people, and that number is still increasing, which is pretty big. And then we've been nominated as one of the best places to work, and in some cases, several years in a row. And I think that is a large part to our mission as well as our values, which we'll dive into here a little bit more. So Chris, would you mind telling everybody a little bit about our products? I think you do a really good job at breaking this down.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's one of the reasons I'm fascinated constantly with what we do, because everything ties back to our mission of empowering the world to be financially strong. And so I want everyone to kind of think about finances and your finances holistically, the way you interact with money on a regular basis, anything from transferring money from your checking to your savings to Venmo. Venmo's a big popular one, to a bill payment, to buying stuff on Amazon, Target. There's all of this financial data that goes involved with it. Well, whenever you make these financial transactions, there's so much happening behind the scenes that people don't really understand. And so that's where MX comes into play. And so let me just kind of walk you through a scenario. How often in the world do you make a payment on a credit card and it takes 4 or 5 business days to post on your account and the money doesn't taken out right away? Imagine if you can make a credit card and that would happen instantaneously. That idea of connectivity is really what MX does from a client perspective. Logging in with your credentials. Can't tell you how many times I've forgotten my passwords. And when you log into your bank or credit union, well, those tokenized connections, imagine if you didn't have to deal with passwords. And from a security perspective, you're able to instantly log in based on a couple different things from an authentication perspective. That idea of modern connectivity across the board is what MX does. And what it does is through APIs. We can connect directly to these banks, credit unions, and fintech companies, so financial technology companies, to really, create the best digital experience when making a financial transaction. But then in addition to that, after you make that financial transaction, there's so much financial data that's actually being powered from that company that can really help market to you. The way I like to say it is, imagine I've been banking with the same credit union for 10 years. I still get marketing emails from them saying, hey, why don't you get a car loan from us? And it's like, well, if you've known, I've had a car loan with you for the last 10 years here at this institution. But imagine if a bank or credit union marketed to a person like me and said, hey, Chris, we noticed that you've been paying Bank of America based on your financial transaction history at 4% interest rate at $400 a month for the last 18 months. We're now offering a rate to you at 2.75% interest rate, and your car payment's going to go down from $400 a month to $300 a month. With MX, they can get that analytical insight into what we can do to empower myself financially to understand, hey, I can save $100 a month on my car payment. But from financial data, we really cleanse, harmonize, understand those financial data connections. And then at the end of the day, the final touch, or we call them horizons over here, is the idea of experience. So we can embed our mobile application development into financial companies' technologies to ensure that they're able to really look at their finances at a much 360-degree level. So take mint.com, for instance, and make it 10 times better in what we do on a regular basis. So the idea of connectivity, data, and experience is really where we're powering and doing some awesome things, because it's so expensive for these banks and credit unions to make a transaction. People don't really understand all these transactions that happen. So you think about verification and our ability to go out and understand all this data is super powerful for these companies. It's a lot. It's fun. It's fascinating. I think what we do, just because I love finances, and if you're interested in kind of empowering the world to be financially strong, like that's really what we're all about. But the really cool thing is we've grown. I'll let David jump into this. We've grown and added 450 employees over the last 2.5 years, but we haven't really forgotten who we are and where we've come from, and really everything comes down to our core values.
Yeah, the core values are pivotal in everything that we do here in MX. I think some companies, they've got these really great intentions with the values and with the mission, but sometimes they just end up being words on a wall. You see them and you feel inspired and you feel nice and you feel good inside, but it really doesn't amount to much. At MX, actually, the values are incorporated into every decision that we make. Whether that's who we hire, whether that's the decision, like a business decision that we make. And I can give examples of each of our values and how they've impacted our business in one way, shape, or form. I won't go through all of them, but I'll focus on the one that really stands out to me, and that's our founder's mindset. And really, the big thing here is working as though you were CEO of your own job. Like, you get to take that initiative, to take that step. To move your role in the way that it needs to go. And in some cases, ask the hard questions. Like, if something doesn't make sense, ask the questions, why are we doing it this way? And it doesn't matter where you are in the company or what your job title is, everybody's opinion is important. And I think that's really what makes us different from a lot of the other companies in the area, is that we do offer that autonomy, that transparency, and that empowerment of our employees. Chris, was there any specific value that stuck out to you that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, there's really two that I use on a regular basis. I would say this idea of objectivity and discourse, we talk about it a lot, but really this idea of radical honesty and integrity is something as a company that we talk about really well. But with radical honesty comes using, you could be radically honest, but you have to be open to being radically honest in return and accepting that feedback. That's something that we preach over here. And it's not from like a peer-to-peer, it's from top down. I was in a meeting yesterday with a VP, and I was pretty honest with a couple of things, but I had data to support my decision of what my thoughts were, and there was no issues. But then this idea of iterative innovation, failing fast is something that I can't tell you how many times I've done. Like, I've had to fail fast. You've got to learn from it. But then, being rapid and innovative and trying new things is something we encourage on a regular basis. And one thing about our culture is I'm actually part of our mentorship program with And I was having a discussion with my mentee yesterday, and he's only been with MX for about 6 months, and he's actually training someone else. And he was like, I'd love some advice on how I help someone. And he was basically like, the piece of feedback I gave him, and being very rich, was like, you're just telling her things that she already knows. But I said, lead with our values when you're coaching people. Hey, how does this align to a founder's mindset? How does this align to having cognizance and awareness of what's going on in the industry? And he's like, that approach landed a lot better with his employee that he's training, because it's leading to what we're trying to build as a company. We're looking for people that are builders and people who want to be a part of this. And all of our 7 core values really build on this idea of our saying over here of build MX. And so that's really what we all about is over here, is all of these builds. So failing fast, having a founder's mindset, if not me, then who, if not now, then when, but then having objectivity discourse when you do fail fast, learning from it and being radically honest. Everything builds upon one another. And I think like the most fascinating part about MX for me is during all this hyper growth and change and adding OKRs, we still haven't forgotten who we are. And I think that's the most critically important, is we're always coming back to these as a foundation of who we are as a company. And being that I've been at multiple companies across the valley here in Salt Lake, I would say these resonate with me more so on a regular basis and get talked about more naturally than any other company I've been a part of.
Totally agree with you there. And great thoughts. You can find a lot of these values on our website. I'd encourage you to take a look. It's pretty interesting to see how we kind of align that into our overall mission. But, moving on here, one of the other things that makes us a little bit different is just, our desire and our drive for inclusivity. We are trying to make MX, to continue to build MX to be a inclusive and a safe space for all parties, all people. Doesn't matter your background, we want them to be included. And as a result, and what we're trying to do is we've rolled out a few employee resource groups. And one of the ones that I'm highlighting here is our Women's Initiative Network. And this is where we empower the women and through professional development. And so we have different groups. We have an executive sponsor that's a part of this, as well as other events in which we develop the women of MX and allow them to continue to move forward. In addition to this one, we do also have a Pride, a veterans group, a BIPOC group, to name a few. So pretty exciting things that we've got going on here. We're actually also in the process of hiring a head of diversity and inclusion, which we hope to have filled here within the next year. And this person's going to also kind of push the initiative forward to help MX to be a more diverse and inclusive space. So if that's not enough, obviously we're hiring. We've got a few roles that are available. Here is a QR code if you want to jump on our website to see those roles. We do have a few that we are highlighting. Chris, as Chris mentioned, he is a talent partner that supports sales and advocacy, as well as a few other groups here within MX. Chris, were there any roles that you would want to highlight here for the group here today?
Yeah, we're hiring a lot of sales development reps, so people that are interested in sales. We are hiring some entry-level salespeople, or at least a passion for sales, that people want to be in here long-term. So sales development reps, representatives that are going out, prospecting it, not only fintech, but banks and credit unions, and really get an idea in here. One thing I'll mention, we talk about our ERGs. One of our most successful account executives, who I've actually promoted 3 different times, he came from like the oil and gas industry. He's actually a veteran of the Marines and joined here, promoted him 3 times, and he actually just presented in front of the entire company. But over the last 2.5 years, he's moved from an SDR role into an account executive role, an account executive to a mid-market to enterprise in 2.5 years. And it's all been based on performance. But so not necessarily looking for background, but just kind of a passion for sales, drive, and almost like an intellectual curiosity. I think within our sales department specifically, I'll speak to them. There's really 3 main things that I always like to talk about. It's like, hey, what do you need to be successful here, specifically in an entry-level role? And I say there's 3 things. Do you have grit? Can you push through obstacles? Can you push through? Do you have intellectual curiosity? What I mean by that is the ability to ask great questions and who to go to at the right times without being told who to go to. And then finally, this idea of a fire in the belly. Do you have a passion for what you do? Do you have a passion for MX and our mission? Because that's really what we're all about. Is not only like if you're coming here to collect a paycheck, more than happy to have you on board, but we really want people here long term that want to build, that want to be a part of a great company. And an entry level role, that's kind of what we look for, is that idea of culture and being able to fit in there, and a desire and passion to be in sales. That's the main role that I'm hiring for. I do have other roles as well, but in terms of multiple opportunities, that's where I'm hiring.
Yeah, I love one thing that you said is that we really develop our employees here. I actually just found today that within Q1 of this year, we promoted 119 employees. And so just to give you a perspective, we have 750. So that's a very large number of people that were promoted just within Q1. And I think there was an additional 30. So we are a company that, gives back to our employees. We want to develop them. And like Chris had mentioned before, we set you up to succeed and give you a safe space to try new things and to fail as necessary to get to where you need to be. So just something to keep in mind. So I think that's all that we have about us, but I guess now we'll take some time to answer any questions if there are any questions in the chat. Linda, are you able to see any questions at this point?
No, sorry, let me sound far away. There are no questions, but thank you. Are you guys, thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing about MX, and yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, feel free to reach out to either Chris or myself if there are specific roles that you are interested in. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, check out our career site or our social media pages. There's a lot going on there. So again, thanks to everyone for attending. We really appreciate it.